Hello children, this is Deepa Phadke. Welcome to SV Union High School and Junior College. This session we will continue learning Standard 9 Political Science Chapter 1 Post-World War Political Developments last part. So let's begin with non-alignment. In the context of the Cold War, while the world was becoming bipolar, some countries which didn't get involved into the superpowers rivalry. Such nations decided to stay out of the Cold War rivalry. Their policy is known as non-alignment. Non-alignment was an important movement during the Cold War. So children, we have studied after the Second World War, there was Cold War which started between the two superpowers, USA, that is America, and Soviet Union, that is Russia. When they started Cold War, we also have seen how bipolarization of the whole world happened because these two nations started attracting all other nations towards their group. But when this process was going on, there were some countries in the world which did not participate or did not get involved into the superpowers rivalry. Their policy is known as non-alignment. This is an important movement during the Cold War. Let's study non-aligned movement. The Asian and African countries, which became independent after the Second World War, supported the idea of non-alignment in 1961 under the leadership of India's Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, President of Yugoslavia Marshal Tito, President of Egypt Gamal Abdul Nasser, President of Indonesia Dr. Sukarno, and Prime Minister of Ghana Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The countries which did not get involved into either of the groups created by Soviet Union and America, those countries which remained neutral, they decided to stay out of the Cold War rivalry, and this is non-alignment. So the Asian and African countries, those who had become independent after the Second World War, they also supported this idea of non-alignment. Under the leadership of our Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, there were other countries, President of Yugoslavia, President of Egypt, President of Indonesia, and Prime Minister of Ghana. They also supported this idea of non-aligned movement. During the 18th century, after three revolutions broke out, all European countries, especially rich one or progressed countries, they had already dominated poor countries which were coming up. So there was imperialism, there was racism between the black and the fair people. So non-aligned movement always opposed these problems or these issues. It always encouraged solving the disputes by using peaceful methods. Another feature of this non-aligned movement is it is always based on eternal principles of humanism, global peace. Always it gave importance to global peace and equality. It encouraged the less developed countries to come together, to come up and make their own progress. It also created confidence among the developing nations. It fostered human rights. The problems of poor were always taken into consideration, and it also encouraged these countries coming up, progressing countries, to have their own self-respect, and also made a demand of a new international economical order. So even after Cold War got over, still the importance of this non-aligned movement cannot be ignored because it continued. It has been continuing even today also. We can see this into UNO. We need to study the evaluation of the non-aligned movement. So what are the features of this movement? The non-aligned movement has opposed colonialism, imperialism, and racism. It always encouraged solving the disputes between and among the countries by peaceful means. This movement is based on eternal principles of humanism, global peace, equality. It encouraged the less developed countries to come together. The non-aligned movement took a firm stand against disarmament and at the same time fostered human rights, the problems of poor, undeveloped countries, firmly making them more confident to assert them with self respect, made a demand of a new international economic order, NIEO. So, even after the end of the Cold War, the importance of this movement did not get reduced. Let's learn the reasons for the end of the Cold War. The Soviet Union adopted the policy of opening up the economy. It loosened up its control over the economy. The then president of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, implemented the policies of perestroika, that is restructuring, and glasnost, openness. Due to these policies, the control over the media also got reduced. These spheres were restructured, which enhanced democracy. So finally, Soviet Union adopted new policy of opening up new economy. Obviously, it loosened its control over the economy. The then president of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, he had adopted the policies of perestroika, that is restructuring of the economy, and glasnost, openness, getting ready, getting opened for global market. Due to these policies, the control of the media also got reduced and these spheres were restructured, which definitely gave impetus to democracy. Let's learn few more reasons for the end of the Cold War. Under the influence of Soviet Union, East European countries adopted the capitalist democratic paths. The Soviet Union disintegrated and several new nations were created out of it. Russia was the biggest country in the Soviet Union. NATO still exists, but its nature is no longer military. So all these were the reasons for the end of the Cold War. Looking at Soviet Union, even other East European countries also adopted capitalism, democratic paths. The Soviet Union also disintegrated into several new nations, and then Russia also remained biggest country in the Soviet Union. NATO, which was established by USA, still exists, but now the nature earlier was military. Now it has been changed. It looks upon peaceful coexistence. Children, we need to understand one thing over here. The Cold War, which continued for 40 to 45 years almost. What must have happened that both the nations realized that it is of no use continuing this suspicious nature, suspicious behavior? So we need to understand one more thing over here. When there is only one superpower and several countries are dependent upon it, such an international system is called a unipolar system. We have studied about bipolar system. The division of nations between two superpowers is called as bipolarization. Children, here you can do one activity, and that is writing an essay on the topic futility of war. War does not solve any issues, conflicts among the nations, nor can it give peace to the world. You can write an essay about it, children. With this background, let's learn about the post-Cold War world. The Cold War came to an end with the disintegration of the Soviet Union, which till then had been a superpower, bringing major changes into the world politics. For example, America remained the only superpower in the world politics. A favorable atmosphere was prevailed for the growth in trade and economic relations between and among nations. Capital, labor, market, and information circulated throughout the world. All the worldly countries gave priority to trade relations. There was the idea of giving aid to other nations. The idea of enemy nation changed into rival nation. So, when the Cold War came to an end, because there was a union which was known as Soviet Union that started getting disintegrated. Till then, it had been a superpower. So that brought major changes into the world politics. Earlier, these two superpowers were there, but now only America remained the superpower in the world. and favorable atmosphere was also being created for the growth in trade, economic relations between and among the nations, capital, labor, market, and information got circulated throughout the world. And those nations which were coming up, which were getting developed, for them also it was very useful. Let's learn few more changes, major changes that took place in the world politics. The responsibility of the UNO has increased. The UNO now had to take concrete steps to maintain global peace. Environmental protection, fostering of human rights, gender equality, and management of natural calamities now acquired a global dimension. Means the years together when the countries were involved greatly and being suspicious about each other and were ready for attacking, for fighting with each other. Now the spheres of life had totally been changed. Environmental protection was given importance, fostering human rights, then gender equality became very important, then management of natural calamities became very important. So all these issues attracted the global attention. What is globalization? Let's learn about it. The economies of different countries got linked with each other. Trade increased. Economic unification grew. Plenty of products became available in the world markets. Means trade, economic relations between countries grew very well. The concept of give and take enlarged globally. The boundaries between nations did not remain same as sacrosanct, means especially of a principle or place or routine which was considered too important. So now even children, if you go to the market, plenty of things, foreign things are available because of the world or global market opened as they were before. These processes are together called as globalization. But the gap between poor and rich nations did not reduce with this process. So what do you mean by globalization? Globalization means where every nation or countries did not control themselves when the trade and commerce was concerned. The economies of different countries got linked with each other with the world trade, and because of this world trade also increased, economic unification also grew. Plenty of products became available in the world market. Anywhere these products are available, so you can go and get anything that you want. It is available in our local market also. The concept of give and take enlarged globally. The boundaries between nations now did not remain same as they were usually there earlier. So these processes together is called as globalization. But the darker side of this globalization is that the gap between the poor countries and the rich countries continuously continued having the same. Rather, it increased instead of getting reduced. We have studied the global developments from 1945 onwards. We have also learnt about the world in the context of the Cold War, arms race, the efforts of disarmament, globalization in this chapter. We will learn about India's foreign policy in the next chapter. So children, you are going to mark down all the answers of the textual exercise in your textbook and copy them in your classwork. Thank you children.